Taking a look at our screen, we can see rows which indicate individual tax filings. Inside each one of these rows is the holding portfolio for that entity, listing out various items like name, entity type, federal and state taxable income, along with project management tools that help you understand where you're at in your K1 portfolio collection. For a given batch of K1 packages, of which I have 4 here, a typical accounting firm may spend upwards of an hour simply extracting data before analysis can even begin. A human takes each of these data elements and places them into an Excel spreadsheet, and then also places them into a tax return. We reduce that data entry burden into seconds rather than hours. I'll take my 4 K1 packages, which would be representative of anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of work, using an average of a half hour to an hour per K1 package. Using our patented ML AI reader, we're going to boil this time down into a little under 2 minutes. What the system is doing during this time is it's uploading all of those K1 packages. It is reading the entirety of the face page. It is reading white paper statement detail for all line items 1 through 20 AH, including those most complex boxes like line 11 and line 13, where there may be additional values that ultimately need to be digested by the tax practitioner. It is also reading the entirety of Schedule K3, which has greatly expanded line 16, what used to be 16 elements, into 20 pages, 13 schedules, and 1,800 additional data elements, and now even includes reading the K3 footnotes. It will also read all 42 state K1s to the extent that they have taxable income allocated to the partner. It is even attempting to read some 926 disclosures to the extent that they are present. And it has done all of that work in minute it took me to describe to you what it actually does. And from here forward, we move on to direct validation and review employing a 3-step process: a first touch, a second touch, and a third touch. The first touch is generally responsible for going into the details of the K1, pulling up the K1 side by side, and reviewing all of the information that is present from the machine learning model extraction. They will also be performing other tax work that is supplemental to the K1 process itself, such as dealing with tax basis. They'll work through federal and state data in detail, and they'll be performing standard tax accounting functions on that data, $18,287 here, for example, with its underlying detail, $39 on line 2, $19,074 with its underlying detail. And then the fun stuff, like 11 and 13, whereby you go into the statements, you see 20 additional items of detail, and so too can you go into our analyzer product. $34,114 is the total of my white paper statement detail, and 34114 is the total of my reader output. All of the underlying detail is present and accounted for. The accountant may undertake certain transforms of that data using reclassifications to move information from one line to the other. They may analyze estimates versus actual. They may do a deep analysis of state allocable information. They'll roll through K3 data, reviewing the PDF and reviewing our extracted information using our UI. And finally, review the foreign disclosure forms, which could be of interest. Once that is done, a second-level touch will come in and review the entire portfolio, which has been automatically aggregated like common work papers do. If this was a partnership return, this would be the master Schedule K values that we would ultimately report out to our partners. From here, as accountants, we love Excel, right? This will also produce Excel schedules in multiple fashions, pulling out the data any way that I need to see it. This is a standard Excel export for federal data that many accounting firms utilize to track and manage all of the underlying K1 detail. This has now been done in seconds versus the hour or 2 per K1 for our staff to manually key in all of this information onto the spreadsheet and into the tax return. We'll deal with that information for federal purposes. We'll have aggregate information for Schedule K3 purposes, which ultimately go on to produce the K2 in a partnership. We'll immediately have the ability to export all of that data via Excel. We'll take a look at state taxable income in totality, understanding where our risk areas are, and making quick and easy decisions along with its related Excel exports. And we'll finally take a look at any of the foreign transfers. And based on the thresholds that each of these transfers require, we can make instant determinations without having to compile any Excel spreadsheets to analyze and aggregate this info. It's already been done for you. We simply come in here and make determinations based on the information that we see. Finally, reports and exports provide all of this information out via Excel for integrations into other software, or however the accountant would normally like to use. We've got federal summaries. We've got state summaries. We've got detailed reports like tax basis. We've got comparison reports that allow deeper analysis into different components. And at the end of the day, all of this information is directly injectable into your tax returns. You simply select your client, and you can send the data via API to Thomson Reuters or CCH Access products. There's nothing to configure on the user side other than adding key identifying return information. When transferred, the information appears in the tax return exactly as if a staff had keyed it in themselves. That is the power of our K1 aggregator solution, taking what could be up to an hour's worth of data entry and turning it into seconds per K1, bringing the review time down into simply managing and analyzing top-level data versus detailed data entry review, providing all the Excel reports and exports that an accountant may need to complete their filing, and pushing all the data into a tax return, eliminating yet another step of data entry and data duplication, all in one little package. K1 Creator is an all-in-one K1 production utility software. It will begin with your projects, in which you'll contain all the funds within an engagement or fund structure, as well as all your investors within that fund structure. All the investors are then tied to funds, and funds to the investor so that you're managing all your data in a single location. Once your fund structure has been designed, you can visualize your fund structure by utilizing the visualization tool. When working within each fund, it will display first-year setup information, including the entity information, the creation of allocation codes, which you will use throughout the K1 production process. Those can be percentage-based codes or dollar-based codes. You can set the rounding investor by allocation code so that you never have to worry about chasing a dollar ever again. You can set the jurisdictions that the fund will file in, track basic capital accounts, and add any other capital accounts that you so choose for funds or the investors. Decide whether you want to present activities to your investors and if you will run income scenarios throughout the year. These scenarios allow you to project the income of the partnership at both extension time and through the final filing date. When you're ready to prepare your K1 information, you will follow a basic 3-step process. First, you will open what is essentially a giant capital roll. Within that capital roll will be the master Schedule K. In Schedule K, you will define the level of detail that you wish to present to your investors. Each financial amount will be entered into the box. You will then apply an allocation code to that amount. By doing this, you are designing your federal and state K1. All of your financial information is broken out by the following: scenario, activity, jurisdiction, and capital account. To prepare federal and state K1s, you will follow this process, bringing in any inbound financial information and deciding the presentation to your investors. The second step would be to check any checkboxes that will go on the face of the K1, whether that be foreign, domestic, or state-oriented. Finally, you'll append any footnotes that may be required for that K1 package using a custom footnote editor based around Microsoft Word. You can use bold, italics, underline, strike-throughs, indents, create tables, and add allocation codes anywhere that is necessary to disseminate allocated information. Once all this structure is set up in year 1, it will roll forward into year 2. In year 2, all you will need to do is add in the financial data where appropriate and ensure the allocation codes are up to par. At the end of the process, you will be able to view your K1 packages in a visual format that allows a reviewer to be able to go in and check against what they expect the output to be. You can look under each line item and see all the underlying detail allocated to each partner. You are able to pull out a visual of the K1. You are also able to pull out a PDF of the K1 from K1 Creator. The next step will be, after all the K1s are checked, will be to create your K1 packets. Using the K1 packager, you'll be able to create custom K1 packets that you can then present to your investors. Simply upload your documents wherever you need them to appear, such as your branded cover letter. Pull in federal and state K1 information automatically by choosing the information from the drop-down selections. You can then prepare your data packets, which will come out in a zip file format, which you can then post to any portal or delivery mechanism. Information created in K1 Creator is directly integrated with the 3 major tax softwares, CCH, GoSystem, and our own K1 Aggregator for any other K1 packages that need to be aggregated. Using this method, you can pass your digital data directly to your tax return so that your K1, K2, K3 information is already complete. And from there, you are only filling out yes/no questions, answering balance sheet questions, and other schedules within partnership returns. Finally, when looking at K1 reports, you have the ability to look through all your K1 tiers. Looking at this funds level and its master schedule K, as well as its investors and their related output. If you wanted to move on to the next tier, you would take the second investor and its output, which would then become the fund level input, and would then be allocated out to its investors and run that cycle as often as needed until you get to the end of your ownership chain. K1 Creator's cutting-edge technology will be a differentiator in your K1 creation process by significantly reducing the time it takes to create K1 packets, improving accuracy of those packets, and enabling faster delivery to your clients. Taking a look at 990 preparation, we can see that the system looks exactly like the form, making navigation easy and intuitive. When trying to complete this complex document, each line item is presented and functions on a concept we call dynamic review. This causes the system to only show you what you need to prepare and streamlines the entire experience. As a full-featured tax and project management software, there are multiple features to complete your review, including a full suite of diagnostics. On the overview page, we can see a number of ways to review the return. I can review the PDF by the overall return or by specific section. I can also attach work papers, see and update comments, lock down sections, and mark items as complete. Finally, 990 Tracker is web-based to allow the greatest flexibility in running your engagements by allowing you to delegate access to any third party, which provides them access to the system in a highly curated and controlled manner. In addition, in the 990, Your activity-based reporting is an easy-to-follow columnar approach that helps you fill out your schedule lays in a nice and easy-to-track manner as you have siloed activities that come in and come out. You can simply add or subtract columns as you need. 990 Tracker is an all-in-one filing solution for the entirety of the tax return compliance process for your tax-exempt organization. So not only do we have the federal forms and extensions, we also have additional modules for K1 aggregation, your conflict of interest, your state completions, master compensation, and benchmarking data. We have K1 Aggregator for your alternative investments that are flowing into your endowment. With K1 Aggregator's patented machine learning technology, you can quickly and easily read in and aggregate all that K1 data, including K3 and state K1 data. Also, once in K1 Aggregator, it's a simple click or two to pull that information into your tax-exempt return. The state module, which as previously mentioned can handle all 42 state taxing jurisdictions, includes more than just the state UBI forms for those states that have them. We also have corporate tax forms for those states like Alabama with the 20C and Florida with the F1120, as well as the informational forms such as the Mass PC, the Arizona 99, and the California 199, just to name a few. Within 990 Tracker, you have easy access to all of your extensions as well as your state instructions. These state forms are automatically populated using all the data possible across the entirety of 990 Tracker. So by the time you get to a state form, you don't have to do any preparation. You simply have to review the information that's there, enter all your data in this single location, and have all that master compensation data flow throughout the applicable returns exactly as it needs to be reported. All of these components unite in a single spot to create the 990 Tracker platform. Everything you need for the tax-exempt, tax-compliant process from end to end. Gathering data, preparing forms, e-filing, and handling the required ancillary information can be managed here in 990 Tracker. We hope you found this information helpful and thank you for watching.